Joining in studio now, we have Butowsky in studio, who you've been here before, and welcome back. Nice to have you.
Well, thank you. You did a perfect, absolutely perfect analogy, and I was ready to correct something. Seriously, that's my mentality. Not one thing to correct. It was absolutely perfect.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. Well, I have been studying and thinking about this so much. To me, I know to you it's personal. We're going to talk about your lawsuits today. But to me, it's so much about the system of justice in our country. Are we just going to concede that once certain people are above the law and certain matters may never be investigated, we're really saying we're surrendering this idea of equal justice and equal justice before the law and the rule of law. We're surrendering it all. But I want to start with, so you were involved, as I mentioned a moment ago, in talking with Seth Rich's parents, and I left the story off there, and I know you told us last time, but if you can quickly summarize, because you ended up trying to help Seth Rich's parents figure out who killed their son. You want to tell that piece, including your hiring the investigator?
Absolutely, and thanks for giving me the platform to do so. So my involvement, you had mentioned Ellen Ratner and I became friends, and we're good friends and very close relationship. Julian Assange did more than mention to Ellen. Okay, he actually asked Ellen, as you said, to speak to Joel and Mary Rich and give them information with the hope that that information might help them find out who murdered Seth. So Ellen was uncomfortable, wasn't sure if she could do it because her brother was Julian's attorney. Her sister-in-law, Margaret Gardner, I believe that's her name, she was still very close to Ellen, and Ellen just didn't think she could do it. So she asked me, sort of like Mikey, Mikey will try it, right? And Ellen and I had that relationship. So anyone who thinks that that's a weird thing for Ellen to ask me, knowing my relationship with Ellen, it was not whatsoever. But I didn't elect to do it. She asked me to do it. I said no. But I kept seeing on television references that Trump and Vladimir Putin had broken into the DNC server. So what bothered me, and I'll get to it, is that this kept going on, and I finally said, you know what, I'll call these people up. For some reason, this story continues. I get a hold of them, share with them what Ellen told me that Julian told her. There's no question about what Julian told her. Ellen Ratner since has lied to Michael Isikoff from Yahoo News and saying that never came up. That's nonsense, and Ellen is lying. And the reason Ellen's lying is that she doesn't want to be a part of this. But I have emails and text messages going back and forth with Ellen that I haven't shown people yet. Make no mistake about it. Ellen Ratner got that information from Julian Assange.
Let me just jump in and say, what other possible reason would you have? There'd be no connection in your mind for you to be reaching out to Seth's parents.
None at all.
Except that's what Ellen told you.
I mean, here I am in Dallas. It's December 17th. So think about this. I mean, I'm a fairly normal person. I'm just going to call up some parents of a dead child and make up a story. It's absolutely insane. But that's what people have tried to make it look like. So, excuse me, I'm coming down with a cold. So what I did is I got a hold of Joel and Mary Rich, spoke with them, and after that phone conversation, I thought it was the last time I was ever going to talk to these people, unless they came to Dallas for some reason. And then I got a phone call from Cy Hirsch. And Cy Hirsch, for those of you who don't know, is a very famous publisher, a writer. And he shared with me information that he had. And the reason he called me is a friend told him to call me about this, because I had said if I ever learned anything, I would tell Joel and Mary Rich. By the way, all of this is private. None of this is going on in the public eye. Yeah. This is very private conversations that I'm having. Cy Hirsch calls me. I take the phone call because he talked really fast, and I audio recorded it and sent it over to Joel and Mary Rich. And how I got involved a little deeper was after I sent them the information, which everyone can listen to. Just go to Debunking Rod Wheeler's Claims. That's debunkingrodwheelersclaims.net. You can listen to this audio. And Cy Hirsch is sitting there talking all about his information he got from the FBI, which I have learned, by the way, his person we know is McCabe. Okay, we know his contact is McCabe. So
Cy Hirsch's contact is McCabe?
Yes, McCabe.
I did not know that.
Yes. Well, I'll give you little morsels from time to time.
I guess so.
So he now has this information, and I shared it with Joel and Mary Rich. They never said thank you, and it just bothered me. I don't care. I'll do things for people, and I'll do them all the time whenever I think I want to do something, and I'll be a nice person. It just bothers me they didn't say thank you. So after I called them and said, was it helpful? I simply said at the end of that phone conversation, which lasted about 1 or 2 minutes, I said, why don't you hire a private detective? And they said they couldn't afford one, and I said, I'll pay for it. As I told you on the previous time I was here, I never expected them to say thank you. I expected them to say something like, "Oh my goodness, we barely know you, Ed. Please, please, that's very nice of you." Right? Of course I'll do it. And I'll say, "Okay, if you change your mind," and then I hang up the phone. No, they said thank you. So then I was stuck. All right, I had no interest in ever being a part of any of this stuff. I was just trying to help Ellen Ratner out. So that's how I got involved. And then afterwards, after that whole episode, we'll just call that part one. And then the article came out that on FoxNews.com, everything was okay. And then a lawyer entered the world, a really horrible human being named Doug Wigdor. And Doug Wigdor is an attorney who made up a story and put it inside a lawsuit. And you know as well as I, and maybe your listeners know, but one thing lawyers can do, they can write anything they want in a lawsuit, regardless if it's true or not. Well, what did the press do? You want to talk about media malpractice? The press went with a story that they never even called me to ask if it was correct or not. They just repeated it to the point where I was on the cover of 377 newspapers from August 1st to August 3rd as Donald Trump's go-to guy. Now, what did he call him? The idea was, this is so bizarre, but the story made up by a lawyer named Doug Wigdor in New York, put in a lawsuit, was that the President of the United States and Vladimir Putin had, as fact, broken into the DNC server, which we know isn't true. After they broke into the DNC server, people were on their trail. The media was on their trail. So what did Trump do? He sat there and he said, I know, this is what we got to do. We got to call Ed Butowsky in Dallas. We got to get a hold of Butowsky because Butowsky can solve this problem. I've never met the president, never spoken to the president. He was never on my list of people to support. He's a Republican, so I voted for him. Yes, that's as far as I've ever gone with the president. Now, since then, I have my own feelings about him that I'll keep to myself. But for the most part, I was portrayed as a crazy Trump supporter who created a fake story I made up, according to this lawsuit, the whole Seth Rich thing, just to help the president and Vladimir Putin.
To get him off the hook for the Russia-Trump collusion allegation.
Which never happened.
Right. Well, I know.
The whole thing is insane.
To divert attention in the public mind from
That's
this
right.
Russia-Trump thing to, okay. That was what they thought you said you did. Okay, go ahead.
So after this happened, I'm sitting here watching my entire life just basically just every single day get destroyed. I'm on the cover of these newspapers. I was the number one trending story on Facebook for 3 days in a row. And not in a positive thing. I wasn't trending because I was like the best looking man of the year, okay? I was trending because I was a schmuck. I was the jerk, according to the world, that helped Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin create a fake story and literally at the negative consequences of Joel and Mary Rich, Seth Rich's parents. All made up. None of it occurred ever. But it was done because this guy Wigdor was trying to extort money from Fox News. It's a very confusing story, and you do a great job of explaining it, but that's what I was faced with. I had 266,000 negative tweets over a 2-day period about me. Damage to my home, damage to my cars, my children's lives were threatened. I lost clients because they thought some of my clients, I don't know if you knew this, but I put together a movie called Broke on ESPN about athletes and money. And I'm actually in it about 30 times, and I'm the person who put it together. A lot of my clients are athletes. A lot of them thought, well, if I'm friends with Trump.
What kind of business, quickly? What kind of business? I manage
money for a living.
Okay.
And a lot of these clients thought, well, he must be, if he's friends with Trump, I don't want anything to do with him because Trump's a horrible human being. I lost clients from a made-up story from this guy Wigdor because he was trying to extort money from Fox, which is a really fascinating discussion. But as a result of all of this, I sat back and went, what do I do? And then this guy Folkenflick from NPR, he wrote certain things, and anyone can look up those lawsuits. I'll be happy to send it to you. You can put it on your website if anybody wants to read it. And recently there was motions to dismiss, and the judge decided that everything that I had written had reason to find its way in court. So according to the judge, he dismissed their pleadings or motions. I don't know the exact word.
Okay, I'll lawyer it for you because I have it right here in front of me.
Okay.
I'm a lawyer by background. But it was a great ruling. Actually, it's Justice Amos Mazant, who's a Texas guy, a Dallas guy. I haven't seen him in years.
But a Steeler fan, I heard.
Well, I can't account. I don't know how to explain that.
I don't know
Anyway.
either.
What about the Cowboys? But seriously, this is Judge Amos Mazant. He actually gave, when you sued NPR for libel for this concocted story, and NPR files a motion to dismiss and just basically said you failed to state a claim. There isn't sufficient evidence because, you're at this point a quasi-public figure. And the judge ruled that essentially that you had your allegations in your complaint were sufficient that that you could go forward in your lawsuit against NPR. So NPR's effort to get this case dismissed was thrown out by Justice Mazant. Two things I thought were interesting. One was NPR was trying to say, well, all they really did was borrow allegations from Rod Wheeler's lawsuit, because you and Rod Wheeler got back sideways a little bit,
Well,
right?
the lawsuit itself was the Rod Wheeler lawsuit. Wigdor recruited him. Okay. So that lawsuit was the Wheeler lawsuit, which, by the way, said I defamed Rod Wheeler. But to defame somebody, you have to say something or write something. I never wrote anything, never said anything. There's no way that they could bring a lawsuit against me, but they needed all of these pieces Wigdor did to extort Fox.
Okay. I don't even know the angle of extorting Fox, but let me just, so NPR, basically, the good news for you is the judge said, no, what you said in your complaint can go forward. NPR can't get out of this.
And by the way, I'm not a quasi-private citizen. I am a private citizen. I'm an innocent private citizen. I'm not so private anymore.
Well, yeah, at some point people cross into the realm of public figure. Right. I don't know whether the judge would rule you are or not. I'm not even.
They've already ruled that I'm not.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay. So in any case, the judge says your case can go forward against NPR, and he said both that even if NPR's story were related to allegations in the Rod Wheeler complaint, it still could go forward. And it basically just said that what you had said in your complaint was sufficient to allow you to continue to prosecute and not criminal prosecute, but pursue your claim as a plaintiff. So here you are suing NPR, which is good. And I don't want to interrupt your dialogue. I want to be sure we get to your big lawsuit recently filed, but I may have disrupted your story.
No, I'm used to that. I'm married, so I'm used to that happening. Don't
my husband's not listening because he would say, "Yeah, I know what he means."
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but it's okay. I'm good. So so that lawsuit is going forward, okay? And if anyone wants to read it, they'll be amazed at what NPR claimed and what they actually did.
Are you saying the pleadings you would forward to put out in public? Is that what you're saying? Because my website has
public.
Okay, well, my website has all the stories we're going to talk about today.
Fantastic.
If you're at AmericaCanWeTalk.org on the homepage, go into show, and beneath that list of links, and you can link links to every story we're talking about today.
So then, throughout this time period, a lot of others defamed me, okay? A lot of other people said things. One person I'm not suing is Soledad O'Brien. Okay, Soledad O'Brien and her husband, friends of mine, looked up. She has 800,000 followers. Soledad sent out a tweet saying, look what Ed Butowsky is a part of. Well, I wasn't a part of anything.
Yeah.
Okay? But that just helped do it. and all of a sudden, before you know it, how many millions and millions of people who had never heard of me now have a negative feeling about Ed Butowsky. And you said a second ago, and I want to make sure I go back to this, because the key to this whole thing is the Fox angle. So let me just briefly explain that if I could.
Okay.
Fox News, or 21st Century, owned 30% of Sky News. This is the key to this whole nonsense. They own 30% of Sky News. They wanted to purchase the other 70%. Wigdor had 20 lawsuits against Fox for race and sex discrimination. He's a so-called employment lawyer. And what he did is he would bring these cases against Fox. He's even quoted in the New York Times as saying, yeah, I'm at war with Fox News. So what Wigdor did is he had these 20 cases, and he knew that Fox had a breakup price they would have to pay if they didn't get the rest of the other 70%. I think that number was $265 million 21st Century / Fox News would have to pay. So he went over, he literally got on a plane from New York multiple times and went over and met with people from Parliament in London, telling them, do not approve the merger until, guess what? His lawsuits were settled. So he went to Fox and said this. He went to the DLA Piper attorneys and said, give me $60 million and I'll drop the cases and you can go buy the other 70%. Fox News told him to go, you know, where?
Pound sand.
Okay?
Pound sand.
Pound sand. So we got a G-rated show here. Pound sand. What did he do? He then made up a lawsuit to embarrass Fox, called in the Fox attorneys, and said, if you don't give me the money, I'm going to file this. They told him to pound sand. Guess what? That's when he filed the lawsuit. It was all about this lawyer trying to extort Fox. And that's what people don't get. All they think about is Seth Rich, and then there's this guy, Ed Butowsky, he made up a story, and blah, blah, blah. That's not what happened. It's this guy, Wigdor, and his desire to extort money out of Fox News. That's what occurred here. That's where the made-up story came from.
So Wigdor, in order to get Fox to do what he wanted, to pay him, you at Butowsky have no relationship to any of this whole fuss between Fox and
nothing.
So why would he choose you of all the things he could have done?
I was juicy. I was a juicy one because he got Rod Wheeler. And Rod Wheeler would go along with just about anything that Wigdor said. Okay, and Rod Wheeler told me he was going to get paid $4 million
by Wigdor.
He said, I got myself a new lawyer, and I'm going to get $4 million. And I said, how are you going to do that? He says, Ed, you're not going to like it, but you'll see. I had no idea what he was talking about.
Wow. Okay. So tell me, we're now in the phase where you have filed a lawsuit. You have NPR we just talked about. You've also filed a $118 million defamation lawsuit against Wigdor and against this investigator, Rod Wheeler. So the entire lawsuit against Wigdor is all about his defamation of you and the story he created to essentially, not blackmail is the right word, but to arm twist Fox to get the money he wanted. That's the story?
Yeah, everyone needs to read the complaint and see, and you'll see what kind of person Wigdor is. And I also have another lawsuit where I have about 15 other people, including Anderson Cooper, Oliver Darcy from CNN, Turner Broadcast. I've got New York Times. I have Vox News. And this is where I look at it. I did nothing wrong except offer to help somebody, okay? I didn't do anything. It just happened to be in the middle of this whole nonsense about Russia and the made-up story about Trump, which has been proven to be made up.
Right.
I didn't do a thing. And these people, without regard for me or my family or my life, just made up stuff and thought they could say anything they want. And that's why I'm suing these people.
So all the people you just mentioned you're suing, the Anderson Cooper and people from CNN, it's all of them essentially repeating the Doug Wigdor allegations that he put in this story. Is that right? I mean, and embellishing on it.
Some of it. Everyone's a little different, but it all came out of the Doug Wigdor story, made-up story that was put in the lawsuit. And I have, by the way, just in case there's not enough lawsuits, I have 2 more coming very soon.
Okay.
And you know what? What else can I do? I can't go knock on people's doors and beat them up.
Tell your story and say,
I can't go knock on someone's door and beat them up because that's illegal. So what else are you left to do? All right? So you sue people because they did me wrong. That's the only way you can get people to come clean with you.
Well, I'll tell you why I like this litigation, and it kind of ties back to America Can We Talk and this idea of defending the rule of law in America. If you're saying that you were defamed because these people said that your story about Seth Rich was made up. I mean, they said you did the whole Seth Rich story in order to help Trump and Putin and all that. So
it's ridiculous.
Right. So they're saying that it was a lie. For you to prove a defamation case, I mean, defamation requires that something said something dishonest about you, and so, I mean, if they said true things like you have on a blue shirt, that's not defamation. Defamation is they say it or they speak it or write it, and it's false and it harms your reputation. So to get at the allegation, proving the allegation that it's false, that you didn't make it up, you are entitled to discovery against, and I don't know how far I can all go, but discovery to understand what the government knows about the Seth Rich murder. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. And there's certain things with the NSA and other places.
Let's go there.
Trust me, I'm going there.
Well, actually,
what we are going to be doing with discovery will be very intrusive.
Well, I understood there was also one effort, a Freedom of Information Act request of NSA relating to what do you know about Seth Rich's murder? Right? You asked the NSA.
Right.
And NSA's answer was they couldn't provide that information because it would violate national security.
Yeah, that's going to change real soon because there's also another rule that says if there's information they have related to a crime, they have to expose it.
Right. Okay, this is what I was going to get at, and this is why I like this lawsuit so much. I love talking to Ed. He's fun to have on, but I want to make something really clear to our listeners. If in this lawsuit, the charge, the allegation, this complaint is that Ed Butowsky was defamed, that someone lied about him. They're saying the lie is that he said that this whole Seth Rich thing came out of Julian Assange's mouth through Ellen Ratner to him, and he got involved. And the only reason he tied Seth Rich to the hacking into the DNC server was because this is what came from Julian Assange. So to prove he was defamed, to prove his case, he's got to be able to get evidence related to whether or not what he said was true. And that gets you around the question of what you can get at in the NSA. So let me just make this one point, and then I can see you want to say something else, but I want to make one other point about the NSA thing. If Seth Rich was just a unfortunate private citizen in Washington who happened to get mugged late at night, early morning, and end up passing on, dying as a result of this attack, if that was true, why would the NSA respond, the National Security Agency, respond to a FOIA request by saying they can't get that information because it relates to national security? If the explanation is some private rotten criminal attacked Seth Rich and killed him, the NSA would have no information about it. They'd say, we don't know how we don't know a thing about it. It's a private crime. But the NSA didn't say that. They have already responded in one of your lawsuits saying it's private information, it's national security. We're allowed to protect that information. We don't have to give it to you under a FOIA request.
They said they had 32 pages of communication.
But you don't know with
they couldn't
whom.
give it out. No, we'll be seeing that soon.
But I'm saying you don't know now with whom the 32 pages of communications were with. I mean, it's NSA, but talking to whom?
WikiLeaks and Seth Rich, between the two.
Oh, they have things between WikiLeaks and Seth Rich.
Right, but they won't divulge it.
Okay, but NSA has acknowledged that what they have
Absolutely.
is communications between WikiLeaks and Seth Rich. Okay, people understand how serious this is. I've been talking about this case, since time began, since the whole thing launched. If at the end of the day you can show that it was not the information that came out on WikiLeaks never came from the Russians, that the government knew this from the start, the FBI knew this from the start, they knew it was actually Seth Rich leaking things, the entire concoction of the Russia-Trump collusion takes on whole new meaning, whole new levels of outrage, dishonesty, just corruption of the rule of law, corruption at the highest level of law enforcement agencies in this country. That's why this litigation matters so much. So Ed Butowsky, last time you were here, I got people emailing me afterwards saying, you should have let him talk more. I don't know if we've covered everything. They kept saying, because I was trying to steer you back to, Mueller and legal things, and you're like, No, what happened to me? But we're kind of wrapping up our time together today. Sure. But are there things you want to get out today about your pending lawsuits or your effort to clear your name?
The effort to clear my name is very difficult. Nobody wants to talk to me. It's very strange because I have gone to people, I've gone to any news agency, any outlet to say, interview me. Let me tell you what happened. Let's go with it. And all of them have said, we're not doing anything on Seth Rich. They all have walked away from reporting on it. That's really bizarre because it is as important as you're saying. It is at the center of what has engrossed this country for two and a half years. Right. This made up story. Now they've gone from, that story to this story, anything to get after Donald Trump.
Right.
And they have then left in the wake damaged and destroyed lives like mine. The difference with me is I'm not going away. And I'm going to continue, and I'm going to do this. And I don't want to sound like I'm like some, great warrior, but I know there's a lot of people out there that wish they were in my position because they can then subpoena and get discovery on things. And trust me, I know exactly what to get discovery on. And I know exactly where we're going with this. And it's actually starting right now. Okay, your lawyer's in D.C., right? I've had a lot of lawyers. Okay, I thought you had one particular lawyer now. I have lawyers. Honestly, I think I have 7 lawyers right now, 7 different lawyers. And they're all really, really smart. Well, exceptional one, actually. But that's a different kind of lawyer. All right? I'm not going to ask that question. Yeah, you're not going to say. Then we'll have a whole nother defamation. But I have some great lawyers who we know where to go, what we're seeking for, and we have people helping us. And we have some great consultants. Okay. I'm not going to let this thing die. It destroyed my family, destroyed my life. And
your business and your income and your
every single thing. So you know what? I'm working my tail off. I'm working really hard at my business. Just came out with a brand new book. I'm really working hard, but I'm not going to let this die because that's just not who I am.
Ed Butowsky, I cannot thank you enough.
Absolutely.
So glad you can come in. That was great. And he is a Dallas area person, a Texas person. So you just are welcome to be back here again, I'm sure. Thank you for sharing all that today.
Absolutely. Thank you.